Hello everyone. In this series of presentations, the important provisions of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023, which replaced the Indian Penal Code, will be dealt with. The first presentation is intended to provide an overview of the Sanhita. As you all are well aware, the General Penal Law of India, the Indian Penal Code, which was in force in India from 1862, has been replaced by the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023. The object of the law as stated in the Sanhita is to consolidate and amend the provisions relating to offences and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. It came into force with effect from 1st July 2024. The Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, like the Indian Penal Code, consists of two parts. The general part deals with principles and doctrines. This includes the principles of criminal liability, defenses to criminal liability, rules relating to punishments, and the doctrines governing preliminary crimes. The special part deals with specific crimes. This includes rules defining individual crimes and prescribing punishments for them that apply the general principles and doctrines to particular crimes. Chapters 1 to 4, running from sections 1 to 62 of the Sanhita, deal with the general principles. Chapters 5 to 20, running from sections 63 to 358, deal with specific offences. Chapter 1, titled Preliminary, consists of three sections, sections 1 to 3. Section 1 deals with short title, Commencement and Application of the Sanhita. The Sanhita is applicable to the whole of India. So far as the operation of the provisions of Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita is concerned, territorially the provisions are applicable to offences committed within India. Extraterritorially, the provisions are applicable to offences committed by any citizen of India in any place outside India, to offences committed on the ships and aircrafts registered in India wherever it may be, and to offences committed by any person outside India targeting a computer resource located in India. Section 2, consisting of subsections 1 to 39, deal with definitions of various terms and expressions that have been used in the Samhita for the purpose of the Samhita. These have been arranged in alphabetical order. For example, the term counterfeit, used in offences against coins, government stamps, currency notes and banknotes, has been defined under subsection 4. The expression dishonestly, frequently used in offences against property, has been defined under subsection 7. The term public servant, which is used in offences relating to public servants and offences amounting to contempt of lawful authority of public servants, has been defined under subsection 28. The section 3, consisting of subsections 1 to 8, deals with certain general explanations. Subsection 1 states that every definition of an offence, penal provision, and every illustration to such definition or penal provision is subject to exceptions contained in General Exceptions chapter. According to subsection 2, a term once explained in any part of the Sanhita should be understood in the same sense when used in any other part of the Sanhita. Subsection 3 states that the property in possession of the clerk, servant or wife of any person is deemed to be in that person's possession. According to section 4, words referring to acts done extend to illegal omissions unless contrary intention appears from the context. Subsections 5 to 8 provide principles and rules pertaining to joint liability. Chapter 2, titled Punishments, consisting of 10 sections from sections 4 to 13, deal with punishments that can be imposed for the offences under the Sanhita and the rules governing the imposition of the punishments. The punishments that can be imposed under the Sanhita include death, imprisonment for life, imprisonment for a term which may be rigorous or simple, forfeiture of property, fine, and community service. Chapter 3, titled General Exceptions, consisting of 34 sections running from sections 14 to 44, deals with defences that can be pleaded for the offences under the Samhita and the circumstances under which they can be availed by the accused. The defenses available are either because the acts done are excusable or justifiable. When the act which caused the harm is done without mens rea, that is, without the necessary intention or knowledge, it is excusable. Mistake of fact, infancy, insanity, intoxication, and accident fall under this category. When the act is done under circumstances which justify the doing of the act, it is justifiable. Judicial acts, necessity, consent, communication made in good faith, compulsion, trivial acts, and private defense fall under this head. Chapter 4, titled of Abetment, Criminal Conspiracy and Attempt, consisting of 18 sections from sections 45 to 62, deal with preliminary or inchoate crimes. Abetment of an offense involves instigating the commission of an offense, engaging in conspiracy and doing any act towards the commission of an offense, or intentionally aiding in the commission of an offense. It is dealt with under sections 45 to 60. When two or more persons agree to do an illegal act or a legal act by illegal means, it is criminal conspiracy dealt with under section 61. Attempt is doing an act towards the commission of an offense, and if the attempt is successful, the offense charged would have been committed, and this is dealt with under section 62. Chapters 5 to 20 of the Nyaya Sanhita deal with specific offenses. Each class of offenses constitutes a separate chapter. Chapter 5, running from sections 63 to 99, deals with offenses against women and child. Sexual offenses, criminal force and assault against women, offenses relating to marriage, causing miscarriage, and offenses against child are included in this chapter. Chapter 6 from sections 100 to 146 deals with offenses affecting human body. Offenses affecting life, which include murder, culpable homicide, and abetment and attempt to commit culpable homicide and murder, have been included under this head. In addition, 3 new offenses, organized crime, petty organized crime, and terrorist act, have been included. The chapter also includes provisions pertaining to hurt, wrongful restraint and wrongful confinement, criminal force and assault, and kidnapping, abduction, slavery, and forced labor. Chapter 7 from sections 147 to 158 deals with offenses against the state, waging war against Government of India, abetment, attempt, conspiracy or preparation to wage war, concealing the design to wage war, and acts endangering sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India in place of sedition are some of the offenses included in this chapter. Chapter 8, running from sections 159 to 168, deals with offenses relating to Army, Navy, and Air Force. Civilians abetting mutiny, assault, insubordination, or desertion by a soldier, sailor, or airman are some of the offenses included in this chapter. Persons subject to Army Act, Navy Act, and Air Force Act are not punished under the Sanhita. Chapter 9 from sections 169 to 177 deals with offenses relating to elections, bribery, undue influence and personation in elections, making a false statement in connection with elections, illegal payments, and failure to keep election accounts are some of the offenses included in this chapter. Chapter 10, consisting of sections 178 to 188, deal with offenses relating to coins, currency notes, bank notes, and government stamps, counterfeiting coins, currency notes, bank notes, and government stamps, making or possessing instruments or material for forging or counterfeiting coins, dealing with fictitious stamps, and using as genuine counterfeit coin stamps, etc., are some of the offenses included in this chapter. Chapter 11 from sections 189 to 197 deal with offenses relating to public tranquility. Unlawful assembly, rioting, affray, and joint and constructive liability for common object are some of the offenses included in this chapter. The next chapter, that is chapter 12 from sections 198 to 205, deals with offences by or relating to public servants. Public servant disobeying law or framing incorrect document to cause injury to any person. Public servant unlawfully engaging in trade or bidding or buying property, and personating a public servant are some of the offences included in this chapter. Chapter 13, running from sections 206 to 226, deals with contempt of lawful authority of public servants. Some of the offences included in this chapter are absconding to avoid service of summons, preventing the service of summons, refusing to take oath or answer questions when required by public servant, furnishing false information, refusing to sign statement, and disobeying an order duly promulgated by a public servant. Chapter 14 from sections 227 to 269 deals with false evidence and offences against public justice. Giving false evidence, fabricating false evidence, using fabricated evidence as genuine, using a false declaration as true, causing disappearance of evidence, or giving false information to screen an offender are some of the offences included in this chapter. Chapter 15, running from sections 270 to 297, deals with offences affecting public health, safety, convenience, decency, and morals. Some of the offences included in this chapter are public nuisance, adulteration of food and drugs, rash and negligent driving, riding, or navigation, making the atmosphere noxious, fouling water of public springs or reservoirs, and negligent handling of dangerous substances. Chapter 16 from sections 298 to 302 deals with offences relating to religion, defiling or injuring a place of worship with an intent to insult the religion of a class, disturbing religious assembly, trespassing on burial places, and uttering words with an intent to wound the religious feelings of any person are some of the offences included in this chapter. Chapter 17 from sections 303 to 334 deal with offences against property. Theft, extortion, robbery, dacoity, criminal misappropriation, criminal breach of trust, receiving stolen property, cheating, fraudulent deeds, and disposition of property, mischief, and criminal trespass are the offences dealt with in this chapter. Chapter 18 from sections 335 to 350 deals with offences relating to documents and property marks. Some of the offences in this chapter include making a false document, forgery, possessing forged documents, using forged documents as genuine, fraudulent cancellation or destruction of will, valuable security, etc., and tampering with or counterfeiting property marks. Chapter 19, running from sections 351 to 357, deals with criminal intimidation, insult, annoyance, defamation, etc. Criminal intimidation, intentional insult to provoke breach of peace, making statements likely to cause public mischief, misconduct in public by drunken person, defamation, and criminal breach of contract of service are the offences included in this chapter. Chapter 20, consisting of one section, that is section 358, deals with repeal and savings. This provision repeals the Indian Penal Code and saves certain actions specified in subsections 2, 3, and 4 of section 358. Thank you.